Well, who my neighbors are,
The sock.
Dave and Dottie King.
Oh, yeah. Um, Hey, Donovan, how are you? So is dinner at your house, Colin?
No, I'm cooking turkey and we're hauling it out to my mother-in-law's at Swartz Creek.
Six oh two.
Not yes, those. Call our study session to order. It is 6:02 p.m.
Cheapest one I've seen.
If we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Assistant City Clerk Mo, would you take roll call first, please?
Councilmember Williams,
Present.
Reed,
Here.
Jackson, here, Lawler, Davis, French,
Here.
and Mayor Snyder.
Here. All right, our study session is dedicated to going over our 2025 proposed budget. So Director Clark, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm sorry I couldn't get you information earlier, but we just switched over my accounting to the cloud version. Our staff are difficult trying to learn it. I apologize for not getting to tell you guys. I'll try to take my time to go over it, and if you got any questions, of course, stop me. First thing that I want to go over is the general fund. And support the general fund is the fund that kind of runs the city. It has general revenues that come in. It also has city council department, city manager department, clerk department, finance, treasurer department, assessing, municipal building, attorney, resources, code enforcement, law, and jury enforcement, and also public safety. It also has the city maintenance, tree trimming, engineering, street lighting, EPA landfill, cemetery, planning and zoning, parks, Albion River Trail, or River Bike Trail. Also has South Park, and it has general appropriations. And it also has transfers out. So this year, after going through all the numbers, the 2025 total budget for revenues were 8,165,583. It's on the last page of the criminal fund report. So the total revenues were budgeted to be 8,165,583. And they actually came in at 8,116,679. So if you look at this report, we're concentrating on the last four columns. Which one? It's budget. Activities so far through October of 2024 is the third last column. The projected 2024 is the second to last column. This is where I project we're going to be. And of course, the last column is what we're requesting for 2025's budget. So I'll go through this individually by department. So we start on the first page. This is all the revenues that aren't really associated to the particular department. They're citywide to help run the general fund. And I budgeted for 2024, first page of 29. First page, I budgeted $6,6,243,093, and I projected it would be at $5,321,167. The major difference between the two is about halfway down the millions. Last year, I anticipated a grant of $1,150,000. But it didn't come in 2024, it will come in mostly in 2025, the project just activated. We put no explains what the grants for. And what the total cost of the state. So it was an Eagle State grant of $1 million, another $150,000 grant from the Great Lakes Fishery Trust. And it's for the dam feasibility study. And the total cost of the project is $1.2 million, and the city's match will be $50,000. So that's really the main difference for the revenue in both years. Also, there's a couple other notes that I put in there to explain what some of the revenue are. So it's pretty much in line. Our income taxes were up just a little bit. That is account 438 to the top. I budgeted for 1.5 million. We anticipate 1.67 million. That's account 438. So that was our benefit. Any questions on that? And for next year, see what I got budgeted. It's just about what I think I budgeted for 2024, with understanding that the grant revenues will come in instead of 24, most of them will come in 25 for that. And feasibility stuff. But everything else looks pretty much in line. Question? Now we'll go over to the city council, which is the next page. Each one of these pages going forward will be for a department. So I was for 35, 145, it came in at 48,752 projected. And the main reason is for increased insurance costs and a little bit higher salaries and expenses that are related to salaries. The reason why, and you'll see in most of these funds coming up, the insurance went up just a little bit. This year, we actually took the insurance policy and we looked at it and we reevaluated it to where it was being expensed in prior years. We corrected it. So now the insurance policy that we have is more reflected in financial statements to the departments that it relates to. I don't think that's maybe maybe 6 or 7 years is what I was told by the county. So it just better reflects what insurance we're paying and what the target relates to.
So it's doubling?
Yes,
Why are we so expensive for insurance?
because in previous years, it wasn't reported correctly.
No, I'm okay with that, but 2024, I assume is corrected for the full year. So it's 14,274. So next year it's twice that. So I'm sorry, that,
Insurance doesn't cut off at year end. So it's like in the middle of the year. So once we did the,
so there's a correction in there as well.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
So that was a city council.
Thought he
I
was
was
considered.
the city manager. And the budgets were on 31,155, and it came in projected, I project it's gonna be 223,062. The main reason is for increased salaries, we had an individual labs, we had 7 state involved there. And the benefits that go along with it. We also had, additional professional services. Legal, account 801 for 15,680, which wasn't budgeted or anticipated last year. That's the main reason that city manager's department is a little higher. Because of the salary and the professional fees that were incurred. Questions? We're on page 3 now, we're on page 4. This is for the clerk. Anticipated 22,300 in revenue. It came in 26,107. It's there. And I anticipated a budget of 214,265 for appropriations. And the projected numbers would be 215,550. So that's what I remember there. For 2025, you can see what I've got budgeted. It's a little bit down because we're not going to have all the elections that we had this year. Questions on that first? All right, moving on, the next department. Total budgeted. Revenue was 1,800, we got in 1,855. Total expenses were 575,705, we came in a little under at 572,975. On page 5 at the bottom. And next year I had 609,000 in rev in expenses, a little bit higher for the salaries, and revenue should be about the same. So not too much of a difference there going forward, or budgeted to project for 2024. Yes,
So based on the insurance costs, comparing the last couple of funds, it looks like there are 2 people in finance. And the salaries are going up 40 grand.
so insurance,
Insurance is 5220. If you look at the previous, it's also 5220.
like I said, most of these departments, the insurance is.
I'm not worrying about insurance. What I'm saying is if their number of people in treasury is 2,
1 and 2.
then why, if we've got 7 of us,
I think it's, I don't do the rating, I'm not the insurance company, but I think that the council rating is a little higher than our department. I'm not
okay,
sure.
I know, I'm not blaming you. I'm just finding it really hard to believe that it's costing us that much more money for elected officials to be insured, to come to 24 meetings a year and the insurance that we carry. I just find that really hard to believe. So,
You know, I think maybe, more information on that.
that would be appreciated.
And phone call to the actual insurance company. And figure out why they're rating the council people so higher now. You know, council employees. I don't know that it's.
Yeah.
But that's what they can, policy. All right, so that's the finance department. Any other questions? Moving on, we're on page 6 now. Assessing department. We don't do our own assessing, we hire out a third party to do our assessing. So budgeted, I budgeted for 52,250, they came in at 57,519, so different there. And for next year, the contract goes up just a little bit, so we're at 60,177. Questions there? Okay, moving on. Municipal building. I budgeted for 30, 97,35. So that's not too much of a big revenue that comes from this department. And for next year, I'm looking for 148,645. 55,000 is for some improvements to the adjacent asking for improvements to the upstairs conference room for new windows and new furniture. And that's really the difference between. Okay, moving on, this is the attorney section. Both for Colin and any other attorney. I budgeted for 121,000, it came in at 127,923. Next year, it's basically the same. Nothing really earth shattering there. Any questions?
Thank you, Colin, for not increasing your rates.
It wasn't me that did the extra billings here, it was Greg.
Even reasonably, this came in a lot better than expected. We did, switched over here. But it came in about half where we thought it was going to be, mostly from the salaries and the benefits related to it. Next year, we've got a budget for 54,465. This is a percentage of Lindsay Ward's salary. So that's going to be a lot better for us next year.
Lindsay is human resource now.
Any questions there?
Said it's Lindsay, human resource now.
Yeah, she does.
Okay.
HR, she helps the city manager. Any questions on that, resource? All right, then we'll go to board code enforcement. Was 114,990, it came at 112,776. The budget next year is about the same. Nothing shattering there, pretty straightforward. Any questions?
Okay,
Yeah.
for the positions that were vacant this year. Where did that money go during the vacancy?
Well, it just means that we don't pay somebody, so
Right.
the department expenses will be lower until we decide to hire somebody full time.
Can I comment on that? So over the past week, there's been an observation of areas that we're strong in and areas that were weak. Our code enforcement officer, Jared, had been on family medical leave. We had an in-depth talk with him the other day, and maybe that's not quite the position he should be in. So we had talked to Liz about the possibility of taking on both zoning and code enforcement. And then on the planning end, we would hire a planner as only needed. So maybe once a month, that planner might help with site plan review or help the planning commission in that regard. But in our efforts, working with Dave and the other departments, we felt that zoning and code enforcement were very important positions. Liz has the experience and we believe that with the right training, we can move her into the slot of both zoning and code enforcement. So it's kind of a trial, but we believe that it's well worth the pursuit.
Just one quarter for really important.
Right.
Part time first.
Well, what we would do is, especially in the summertime, that's when code enforcement, it really has to, because of grass and weeds. And, she has experience in dealing with the public. She knows how to, be assertive enough with property owners who aren't, obeying our ordinances. And at the same time, we want to work with our, so there's a careful balance here how we approach the public. I'm going to be around for a while to help her. So that would be our, and we're going to ask public safety also in their patrols to also give her some help in identifying properties that need addressing.
Is she going to have assistance to help her with paperwork and stuff like that, or is all of that her responsibility?
That's a wait and see. We're gonna see how it works out, but we will give her, we're not gonna let anybody fail. If we need to bring in somebody part-time or even full-time to help assist in that effort, then that's what we'll do.
Signature, maybe.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mayor. First of all, I am Marcola. I wasn't here at the last meeting, so nice to meet you. The people that have multiple jobs, maybe this is not to be discussed or anything, but so let me know if I'm out of line. But do, people that have multiple jobs get that pay?
Well,
Allowed to ask that question?
we met with the union the other day. That is still being worked out, what the actual pay would be. There would be some elevation in wages. Obviously, she's gonna be doing two jobs. What that pay is yet to be determined.
Thank you.
And after talking to her, she wants to stay in the unit, so it's gotta be worked out.
That's correct.
All right, that was code enforcement. Any other questions? All right, moving on. 334 federal law, purchase, we'll go into public safety. Public safety, we budgeted for $601,390 revenue for the original budget in 2024. Revenue came in at 782,209. The main reason is the account 543 was third from the top. I anticipated 48,000, but we did get a huge grant that we weren't anticipating that. We thought would come in later, early for 247,847. So that really increased that almost 200,000. And that is really the reason for the extra revenue. Of course, she's not here, so we can't comment on that. but-
He's here.
He's here. He just walked in.
We got
Well, then you.
Looked at that.
Think we got
That's a grant that we got.
For 170?
Yeah, it was probably.
So it was a grant that we got, I think, in 2022. Paid for 5 public safety officers we got that year. And it took over that long because.
But.
COVID delay.
That came in a lot better. The expenses or appropriations for the public safety I budgeted for 3,226,253, and came in at 3,295,363. For that amount of money, it's pretty close. I do have a few notes here, one of the main expenses, if you look right above it, is for the fire truck, which was 569,000, that came in a little bit higher than what I budgeted. And some other vehicles that went off there. But other than that, everything came in pretty good there. And then next year, I've got 2008, 847.67 budgeted. And of course, the main reason that's lower is because no fire truck next year. Questions on that? Department? Perfect. Let's go to city maintenance. The budget is 51,220. The original budget, making 55,138. Basically, the differences for higher wages and benefits associated with it. Next year, I anticipate 75,590. Basically, for increased wages. Any questions outside of that? Next is tree trimming. I believe it's 5, 74,655. And the main difference there would be in contractual services. A little bit more tree trimming than I anticipated. Next year, the budget is $70,005. It's pretty close. Any question?
That also counts the new tree trimmer, right?
The tree trimmer?
Like we had a contract with someone out of Detroit
Yes,
and they
that's what,
failed early.
that's what the contracted services are for. Hired out. Okay, engineering. I budgeted for 1,240. This is the situation, and then they came in at 222,279. It's another situation where the budget, although it's with the grant, it would show up in 24, but it would show up in 25. So to grants that we'll talk about in the revenue section. Other than that, I budgeted for the remainder of the just put a note out there too, if you want to read it later on. Pretty much explain those. Any questions on engineering? Street lighting here.
I believe
I
it.
put it's 145,000, it's 152, 170. Next year, I voted for 157,000. This is just for lighting the street lights. So it's just based on. Any questions on that? Landfill. Budget for 5,000, came in at 10,408. And it's just for contracted services. For the landfill. Even higher than that. Next year, budget for 9,007. Cemetery. I budgeted for 73,000. It came in a little bit lower at 3811. The only thing I can say there is we just didn't have as much services at cemetery as we anticipated or what we had in the past. Next year, I bumped it up a little bit, we'll see that we could get back to where we were. Yes. The expenses, I budgeted for 287, 235 at the bottom of the page. Came in at 391,770. Additional wages were part of it, with the benefits going with it. Hospitalization insurance was up 15,000. Excuse me, up 10,000 versus what I budgeted. Uniforms, tools and equipment and materials were also up based on, compared to what I budgeted. It's a situation where Jason was doing a lot of work, a lot of repairs, spending a lot of money on materials, getting things looking good, and that's why the numbers are a little bigger than those three towns. The tools and equipment, materials and supplies, and the vehicle equipment and supplies. The only other thing, I think those looks pretty good. There's also some equipment that we bought that they didn't want to go up. There's a footnote on that. We can order pieces of equipment that for 50,440. So we budgeted for 287 roughly, and we came in at 391. It was because of the wages, the hospitalization insurance, materials, supplies, and the equipment that was purchased. Questions on the cemetery? Of course, you see what I'm budgeting for next year. So, do that to the cemetery. And so I budgeted 18,000 based on the days and bill. Any questions on the cemetery? All right, now we're going to do the cemetery. And I anticipated 122,000 in revenues. We picked up 325,465. And projected revenues, most of that was because of a increase in permits. I budgeted 85 and actually came in at 181,600. And also the 102 for state grants is for a $200,000 mod grant for a technological new modular home. And you'll see on the last page of the bottom line, the capital outlay on that. So the grants and the outlay are the same thing for both 2024 and 2025, it's 100% grant paid for. See what the budget for next year. Any questions on that? Am I going too fast? Okay. All right, now we're at the parks. So one. I budgeted for $1,500,000, we got $1,400,000, let's do what I budgeted for. And just put notes there and some stuff. Expenses. I budgeted for 1.32. 1,229,458. They came in at 1,583,085. Most of that is for increased salaries, benefits to go with it. Professional services coming in a little bit higher. Contractual services.
Yeah.
Relate to that grant that I spoke about on top. Even a little bit higher. By about 75,000. That's able to put a note on that. I tried to put footnotes wherever I could. Help explain that. So any questions on that? At the next interview. Next year, parks will anticipate 4,000 in revenue. And the expenses will way down because the grant revenue for the grant activity showing up in 2024. Any questions there?
We got a question over here.
Just wanted to ask a question back on the 101, 801, right underneath professional.
Yeah.
You said it says 70,000 and it says we are to match that 60,000.
Yes. Yeah. Most of the match was from the construction, not the engineering fees. If you look on the next AO2. Including here is 990,000. 47 phosphate, Macintosh Part Two project. Grants will cover 100% of that. Excellent. So, and that grant was 100% covered with construction, but we had covered engineering. Any questions on that? First. All right, now we move to the bike trail. We are gonna, get a grant to pay for some of that. I budgeted for no activity at all. We did that grant that came in for 43,000. To help pay for that river trail project. And next year we anticipate another grant for 400,000. There's a footnote down there that explains. After 758,802. For the estimated construction cost is 425, city match will be 63.5. The construction cost is 485. So we get grant money to cover most of that. And that's being shown in 2025. So 400, we got it this year, and the construction will be 88 this year. So. Question.
So is the grant that's gonna do the bike river trail in conjunction with the dam removal? Since that's gonna change. No, I understand it's a separate grant, but it's an opportunity, right? Because we're gonna be, that dam coming down is gonna impact the river trail. And so, yeah, okay,
I've never been on.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
It's probably impact, it probably change.
right.
All right, any more questions on that and river trail?
Getting a food truck?
Permit every year. Farm transportation project. Nothing was anticipated, we did do a little work up there. I didn't budget for anything, but, we're going to make sure that we just do that. Catherine, don't know, solid waste to help out with trash, so. And then this is the, general appropriations. I budgeted for 281, 130, went 294, 392. Next year, I budget for 299, 100. So not really kind of sharing here. Most of these contracts are citywide. For various things, but they're used citywide, not just one department. So, we're all set and done. Visual budget. I budget for 219,893 loss. I think that's 116 K09 loss. Yeah, maybe a little bit better because I think maybe try to budget a little over for wages just to make sure that we cover it. Usually the wages come in a little bit less. I leave that up to Connie. And I tell her to budget what she thinks is gonna happen, whether it does or not. So I'm hoping that by the end of the year, that number should be positive. Now, so that's the total fund. One thing I want to also add, even though, and then for the total number for next year's general fund budget. It is showing about a $400,000 loss, but in there is some things that Jason asked for. And also, I want to let everybody keep in mind that eventually we have close to $3 million sitting in the Maple Grove fund. That's going to end up in the general fund. So we're gonna add 3 million to our fund balance. I can make the transfer this year. I can make it next year. I'd rather make it this year. Because the nickel growth sold, everything's tidied up. The money's sitting in the investment fund, we're earning close to 4.7% on it. And there's no reason to leave it there. Should get it into the general fund. And it's just a transfer. And then we'll take the money that's in the Maple Grove investment and just put it into the general fund investment. That's totally up to council. Also, the Albion, except Albion Building Trust,
It's the Albion Trust, yeah.
that Albion Trust has close to $1 billion in it. And what happens to that, I don't know.
Pursuant to the terms of the trust, once Maple Grove was sold, the trust is supposed to dissolve and the assets are returned to what's called the settler, which is the city, the creator of the trust.
So if we add that, we're talking close to $4 million
Added to,
to the general fund.
Councilman French.
What is our current fund balance in the general fund?
General fund balance.
Normally they appear at the end of these things, so. Cause it's well over, it was at 29 or 30%
I meant to bring.
last year.
Yeah.
So,
Not all balance sheets, but I got to bring them up. I can bring them for the regular council meeting.
yeah, so it's pretty healthy. So the 400,000 is, while it's a negative, it's not gonna break us. So even if we don't do any of those transfers, we've got it. We're not in a desperate situation.
Done a lot this year. Not done.
Right.
So I don't want the council to be afraid to continue down the path that we're going. Because we do have the money to do these things, especially after selling Maple Road. We're talking $4 million, which is put right in the middle of the fund. That's gonna make that fund look bad. Not to say that we're gonna blow right through that, that's not what I'm saying. We shouldn't be afraid to continue down the path that we are. Make the city a better place, just like all you guys have been saying, you know. And so that's what I'm talking about.
Attorney Harkness.
One of the other things we have to keep in mind too, when we're talking about that Maple Grove money is when we completed the sale of that property. There were multiple parcels that made up Maple Grove. One was titled in the ABA's name and the other two were in the city's name. So for purposes of making the transfer easier, the ABA deeded the one parcel they had to us and we deeded all three to the buyer. So I'm sure at some point the ABA is gonna wanna talk to us about some apportionment of that purchase price for the parcel that was titled to them.
So what are the recommendations for instance, if we get the 4 mil? Just,
For me,
mhm.
well, that's gonna go straight into fund balance, so it's gonna make the general fund very healthy. And it's gonna allow the general fund to help out maybe another fund if we're doing extra stuff like we've been doing, buying equipment. Redoing buildings, paths, we did the landfill, maybe. just
Local streets.
Improving stuff. So it's not a problem for the general fund to transfer money out of the general fund to the fund that needs it. As long as council agrees based on what we want to do.
And in the meantime, it's in an interest-bearing account.
You're talking about 4 million at 4.5%, let's say.
So as long as we don't spend down the principal, we'll have money generating money year after year.
I mean, 4 million, like 4 million at 4.5, so it's $180,000 a year, just in interest. That counts up, I mean, that's every year, and then the interest we earn goes into the fund and it compounds. So it's not like you get 180 and take it out and leave 4 and bring it in. After the year next, 4 million, 180, it just compounds every single month. It just grows like crazy. And that's why I keep saying, we don't want to use our own money unless we have to. Certain projects, we want to borrow money, especially if we can get it at 1, 2, 3%. Like that sewer project, we're paying 1.25% to borrow the money for that sewer project. We're making 4.5, 5. So it's smart to use other people's money.
Exactly.
Any other questions on general fund?
So that, Director Clark, the 1 million that's in the Albion trust, is that reflected in any of your budgets right now, or?
I haven't done anything with the only thing I did with the Maple Grove is I budget for the interest down the road, but if we decide to transfer that money out of Maple Road into general fund, I can easily redo my general fund budget and redo my Maple Road fund budget. And there's no reason to wait. But it's up to council, right? We can do it now, we can do it later, it doesn't matter. But it's nice to get it all tidied up before the end of the year and go forward with no Maple Road. Right now, I'm gonna keep that fund open until you transfer that money out of it. And all that's sitting there now is investment money, that's it. There'll be no revenues or expenses next year because it's sold. So all you have sitting up in the balance sheet for Maple Grove is investment money plus the agreement. So that's a decision that needs to be made for year end, or think about it for next year. But it'd be nice to tidy all that up. Get into this year's budget. So, all right, next we'll go to Maple or major and local street fund. Both of them, please. All right, so the major street fund, I budgeted for 964,500. Up here at top on page 1. Okay, great. All right, so 964,500, beginning at 969,36. Pretty much what I want to leave next year, 964,700. The expenses I budgeted for department. For department. 461, which is the maintenance of the roads, the major roads. I budgeted 365,720, it came in at 347,493. And next year I anticipate 86,410. Nothing shattering there. For the traffic services, 1,365, 1,720. Basically just salaries, the difference there. Next year, 1,435. Going down to winter maintenance, I budgeted for 37,660. Came in at 21,60. Next year, I'm going to go to 23,625. The main reason I was told that it's lower is because we're just not doing as much as they used to on major streets. They top of that.
Less snow.
Yeah, so with all projects lately, it's kind of taken away a little bit of what we usually do on maintenance. And also we had a conversation with MDOT. We had signs and things like that that they wanted us to take care of before, but we just kind of it's the bottom line. We just didn't have the resources at the time to try to keep up with everything, and it was, I think, maybe a $5,000 difference. So I think we decided that they were just going to give that to the county.
So we won't get reimbursed for our time. Instead of us having to spend time in the potholes like on North Beach Street or a sign repair, we can spend our time doing other local streets or other projects. We're not out any money, we're just not billing for the money that we would bill for if we were to do it. So the county's going to take care of it. And they're going to reimburse the county for whatever work up there. That makes sense. So we're not paying, we're not losing $5,000. We're just not billing for the 5,000 because our guys are going to deal with something else. The county guys deal with the streets, the patching, signs, for the state trunk lines. We'll still take care of snow plowing, everything else. But we don't have to fix the signage.
Good. The maintenance being a little lower next year, about 23,600. On page 304 now, front line, 94 front line, 19,690 came at 8,000 again. I think it's because of the squirrel that we've done. Yep, and that's the revenue section, and then the expense, I budgeted for 19,690 and came in with that 124. And I shot mine, but everything's low, $10, I anticipated 25,680. And the expenses were 17. The third this year, I got the store 25,680. See the budget for next year. Five is 9, a bit lower. And revenues were also lower. The next one here is the transfer out. I read for 275, but that changed a little bit. We actually went through 495,000. I think we've had counsel on this with Jason. We transferred some money out to help pay for the equipment purchases over at the equipment fund. And there's a footnote there that plays that out. So I budgeted for $283,500 in profit. We came in at 75,876 profit. The main reason for the extra 220,000 for transferring out for equipment. Next year, I anticipate 258,055 positive amount with revenues of 988,700 and expenses of 732,235. No equipment transfer next year with the loan transfer. Happy to not. Any questions on that? That is the main street fund. Now we're going to the local street fund. Local streets. Revenue was 341,920. I budgeted for, and at 332,211, pretty much where we thought. Expenses were 528,265. And I anticipate them coming a lot lower. For numerous reasons here, let's go down here. Salaries were down based on budget and the expenses associated with salary. Also, equipment rental. I budgeted for 160 and it came in at 51.5. I think in previous years we were a lot more to the local streets and this year just didn't coincide and we're not doing the work, so we're gonna pay for the equipment. Next year, 333,920 for revenues, 447,715 for expenses. Traffic services. Original budget 4,360, 4,161. Next year 4,890. Nothing shattering there, pretty much what we budgeted. Winter maintenance 41,315 budgeted. 39,955 anticipated. Next year about the same. And we're shattering there. This is a 275 going lower that came in from the major street. We do that every year. And the transfer out is for the equipment. To help pay for the equipment out of the work street. Original budget is 43,980 profit, making it 88,128 next year. 16. The question on that. Pretty straightforward. Like with a sidewalk fund, we have interest. And no activity in the sidewalk program. Now we're at 3. A lot going on here. So. Show you how to think about the 7.
Yep. We got 654.
All right, so this is really like a capital improvements. Or capital project. Or 450 fund, it's a straight improvement fund. And here you will find a lot of street projects that are on the street that I gave you. Right? They don't reference like Robinson. So most of the federal grants are detailed out Budget grants were never, so starting in 24, I anticipated 2,338,914 in grants. Budget grants were never sent to the city, but instead were realized by the state directly paying all construction bills for the North Albion Street Bridge and then the Haven Road project. Basically, what that means is some grants, you get the money up front and then you spend it. But this grant, you don't get the money up front, you get the money by the state paying the construction bills. So we don't pay the construction bills, the state pays them on our behalf. So when I budgeted this, I thought the state was gonna do that, but once the grant started rolling, I found out that that's how this particular grant works. So I budgeted for all the money coming in, then us paying the bills. But what actually happened was all the construction bills, except our match, were paid by the state on our behalf. So we didn't get the revenue and we didn't have to spend the money. Does that make sense? Right? And so that's why the grant, the revenue budget last year was so high. This year it's gonna come in. But that was for the North Albion and Albion Street Bridge and Haven Road project. The next grant we have is $640,778 grant for the 7 bridges preventive maintenance project. The grant will cover 90% of the construction costs. 2024, 41,335 was spent, and 2025, 314,945 grant. Oh, right, and then, so the 7 bridge maintenance project grant will cover 70 or 90% of the cost. Then we also got a grant for Dean Road and Hubbard Road reconstruction project. And that we spent, well, we got 41,335 in 2024. We got 314,745 anticipated for 2025. And as you go down here, each department is set up for a particular project. So government project, well, Department 530, which is the North Albion Street Bridge, Road. It'll show what all the activity goes for that. So basically, again, there's no construction costs here because the state paid them. Whatever construction costs we paid is shown in these accounts. And the footnote represents the city's match for construction costs not paid by the state. A little confusing, but that's. And the next project was the Dean Road, Hubbard Drive improvements. And this account is for the fees for that project. And grants will cover 100%.
So
Go to part 532. Here's the road portion of the water system. $27 million project. There's inside that project is road construction and reconstruction. And so that has to be shown in the street improvement fund. The water portion of that is shown in the water fund.
Director Clark, I hate to cut you off, but it is 6:59 and we do have
All right,
residents in the gallery, so I do want to give them the opportunity to make public comment if they wanted to do so. If there's anybody in the gallery that would like to stand in this council, you can do so at this time. So we do have the other documents that we will be asked to approve in December. And it seems like we barely get to. Do you recommend we have another study session? Okay,
as long as you guys don't mind, there's just so much going on. And I just don't want to throw numbers at you, and not explain them. That's just not the big things, but we just have a lot going on. And I want to take the time and explain it, to you, so if you're going to have another study session, A lot of these other funds will go a lot quicker. But this 450 improvement fund, we've got close to 7 projects going on. This sheet that I gave you right here is a nice sheet that will show you the projects that are coming up for 2020. They're finishing up for 2024, 2025, and 2026. It will show you what fund they're in, what department, and then it does a nice job explaining what we're gonna do. So I would suggest you guys read this, compare to these reports, that way when we meet again, you'll get ahead of the ball.
Councilman French.
Can I ask the city clerk to invite those folks who were elected in the last election to participate? As I recall, that's sort of been the standard procedure. That they invited to sit in the gallery and be able to see and experience the budgeting process. So when it comes to them approving the budget, they are not saying yes in the dark or no in the dark.
I believe they were invited tonight. CJ did get a hold of me and said they were still traveling back. And I believe that Jim was gone and was just getting back
Okay.
today. So today's meeting didn't work for them, but definitely we can invite them. And I don't know if you want to just, again, do the 6 to 7 study session at the next council meeting.
Yeah, because I was gonna make council aware, I mean, we have to have the budget published a week before we do the public hearing on it. So generally what council has done is the public hearing at the first meeting in December with adoption. At the second meeting, if you need more time, the only other way to do it would be to have a special meeting somewhere in between there and still get it published ahead of time. So
So would it be okay if the next study session be at our beginning of the next council?
yeah, that's totally fine. I'm just saying, unless you intend on having a special meeting, you have to have the public hearing on the budget that you're going to adopt at the first meeting in anticipation of voting on it at the second meeting.
First meeting in December or?
The public hearing would have to be the first meeting in December. Because it has to be, we have to have it published and that hearing has to be, yeah, here.
But also, what we think of that. Does the council think they want to move on that, take the road? Situation, or wait till after you're in? So if they want to move on that, I can implement that into the budget for 2024.
We probably should add that as well.
So what the budget procedure is, it's a public hearing on the budget proposal has to be held not less than 1 week before its final adoption. A notice of the public hearing has to be published at least 1 week prior to the date of the hearing. So our deputy clerk had just informed me, she says that it's already been published for the first meeting in December. So it sounds like you're locked into the first meeting in December.
Can we get it done in 1 hour?
For the study session, yeah, if we know, yeah, it's gonna be a lot faster, I think.
Okay.
Yes.
Takes a lot. It's a lot for the street funds, so a lot of these roads will go out.
And then in regards to the other funds, I would say go ahead and okay, doing it now. I think that was consensus from what I'm hearing from folks.
And they're gonna take a general fund.
All right, sounds good. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Support.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned 7:04 PM.